Hi, and welcome to BremSter Puzzles, a channel where I try and showcase how much fun can be had in the world of variant Sudoku by exploring the logic in these puzzles. Now, this puzzle that I'm going to demonstrate is showing both row and column indexing logic, which is a type of logic that can be a little bit tricky when you first encounter it. Now, the puzzle is called Remember the King by Addams, and that's because the other constraints in this, apart from the row and column indexing, is the anti-king constraint as well as the quadruples constraint. So this is a puzzle where I've been told a bit of experience with the constraints is probably needed. So we'll have to see how this one goes. So if you're a newer solver, maybe you'll need the video to help you through. We'll see how it all goes. So let's have a look at the rules of Remember the King by Addams. So normal Sudoku rules apply. So in every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. We have digits in column 1. Now, I'm going to jump to this first, actually. The last rule given in the puzzle that's linked below is actually the anti-king move. But I like to put the global constraints at the top, so they're the first thing seen, which is identical digits may not be a chess king's move apart. This used to be called the no-touch rule, which is basically any cell or any digit placed in a cell cannot also be placed in any of the cells that touch that cell. So, for example, this digit, say that was a 3, it would mean that we couldn't put a 3 in any of those cells because it's called anti-king because it was bundled in a pack one time in a set of chess constraints, but it used to be called no-touch because none of the diagonal cells could be the same digit, but it all got rebranded. But anyway, so that's that constraint, and it's a global constraint, so there's no visual clue to it, but all the others have a visual clue. I like mentioning the stuff that has no visual clue at the top of my rule set, so people scanning it will get reminded of it quickly. Anyway, now we get to the row indexing, I think it is. It's tricky because, anyway, the indexing in column 1. Digits in column 1 indicate the column, so it's column indexing. It's column indexing. I always get that wrong. Doesn't matter. The digits that are placed in column 1 indicate the column in which the digit 1 appears in its row. So, for example, if we were to put a 5 here, it would mean that a 1 has to go in column 5 in that row. So I think it is row indexing. So in the columns, we get row indexing. So yeah, a 5 here puts a 1 here. So that would mean, for example, if we were to put a 6 here, that would put a 1 here. Because what we are ending up with is that whatever digit goes here, the 1 goes in that column in the row. And the blue and the same is true in column 9, but it's working on 9s there. So wherever we put wherever we put a digit here, if that was a 5, then this would be a 9. Now, the same is true in the blue cells, but it's working in the row, it's working in columns. So this is row 1. So if we were to put a 5 here, that would mean that we have to put a 5 in row 5 in this column. So this is indexing the we're placing it in the row, so we're indexing the column. So this is column indexing because we're doing the indexing in the column. I think that's the way it works. So, and again, if we were to put a 6 here, that would mean that the 1 would have to go down here in row 6 because it's 6 down from there. And similarly with the 9, if we were to put a 7 here, that would mean the 9 has to go in the 7th. Oh, that's wrong. The 9 would have to go in the 7th position in this column. So it's a little bit tricky. It's not 7 up, it's the 7th row. If 7th row in this column is the way it works. So the last rule we have is the quadruples constraint, which is digits in a circle must appear at least once in the 4 surrounding cells. So we know we must put 1 and 9 in here. Around here, we have to put 1, 6, and 9. So there must be a 1 in those 4 cells, a 6 in those 4 cells, and a 9. There could be 2 1s in those 4 cells. We don't know what the 4th digit is, but there must be at least 1 1, at least 1 6, and at least 1 9. Sorry about the long rules explanation, but a little bit tricky to explain indexing sometimes. In the description below, you will find a link to this puzzle where you can try it for yourself. I'm going to restart the puzzle to restart my timer. Let's give this a shot. So we know there is a 1 in one of these. So one of these must be a 2 or a 3, and one of these must be a 2 or a 3. So we know that the 2s, because we have to have a 2 or a 3 in here to put the 1 in here, because without a 2 or a 3 in here, this doesn't work. And without a 2 or a 3 in here, this doesn't work. So the 2s and 3s in these boxes are restricted to here. And 9... Actually, it's similar here with 9s. This is going to mean that in here, the 7s and the 8s, because this is meaning a 7 and 8 here, and this is meaning a 7 and an 8. So 7s and 8s must be in here. Is it these? No, it can't be. Whatever this is putting a 1. So this has to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's going to put a 1 in the same position. So if this was a 5, it'd put a 1 in both of those. But I'm wondering what I could do with the 9 here, because this has to be a 2 or a 3. But this has to be a 7 or an 8. So hang on. So that... Oh, and it can't be a 3. I have to put a 9. Right. So... the 9 here is indexed from here. I can't put 9 in one of those cells, or one of these would need to be a 3. So there's a 2 in one of those two and a 9 in one of those two. Right. I don't know how to do... And down here, the 1 is indexing one of these, which means I need to put a 7 or 8 here, and I can't put a 7. So there's an 8 in one of those two and a 1 in one of those two. Now, there's an inherent concept with these indexing puzzles, which may come incredibly important. Ooh, I need to remember the anti-knight as well. Can't see how to use that yet, which is... all of these must contain a low digit 1, 2, 3, a middle digit 4, 5, 6, and a high digit 7, 8, 9. Now, why is that the case? Let's use these as a reason to explore why. What would happen if I had two of these are the entropic sets. 1, 2, 3 is low, 4, 5, 6 is middle, and 7, 8, 9 is high. We call those the 3 different entropies of digits. It's just a terminology we've come up with. Now, if you were to have 2 of the same entropy in one of these indexing locations, well, what would happen? Let's say I made this a 4 and this is 6. Well, this 4 would put a 1 here and the 6 would put a 1 here, and I've ended up putting 2 1s in the same box because what the entropies are doing are indexing into the row locations. So the 1, 2 or 3 will indicate it. Now, you can do it in these 3, but within the same box, it doesn't work. Because if I was to put, because the 1, 2, and 3 are going to be indexing into this box, the 4, 5, 6 into this box, and the 7, 8, 9 into this box. So if I had any duplications, then we would be putting 2 of the same digit in the same box, and it doesn't work. So while I've got a 2, 3 here, I know I can't use another 1, 2, 3 in this band. And I couldn't anyway, because there must be a 2, 3 here, a 2, 3 here, and a 1 in here. But it means that one of these digits must be a 7 or an 8. So the 9 is in here, which means the 9 has to be, one of these has to be a 7 or an 8. Oh, that's putting the 1 in here. Except it has to be a 7, because I can't put the 1 in column 8 because of the 8 down here. I can't put the 1 here because I'd need a 9. So there is a 7 in here, and there is a 1 in one of those, which means there's a 1 in one of those and a 9 in one of those. Now, that means 1 is in one of those. I'm not sure how to use that. Can I do the same in the rows? So I've got 2 and 3 in here. if this was a 1, so in 9 in this row, well, hang on, one of these has to be, I can visualize it here way more than I can visualize it here. It's probably down here that I'm going to get the same restriction. I got that, which is the equivalent of that, isn't it? No. 9 here. This is indexing 9, which has to be in one of those two. So that digit has to be a 2 or a 3. That digit has to be, and it can't be a 3. That's a 2. So that's a 9. And this is a 2. Oh, right. There's this relationship going on. These two digits have to be the same. Because if this was a 4, that would make that, hang on, no, they don't. Hang on. If this was a 4, that would put a 9 there. Right, no, they don't. It just happens to be that those... Anyway, this isn't a 2. And this isn't a 2. And I've got 1 and 2, so there must be a 3 down here, which means there must be a 9 in here. Yes, that makes sense. Does that mean I can restrict the 1 down here? Because if this was a 1, that would have to be a 7, and it can't be. So that's not the 1, that's the 1, that's the 8, and to index this, this has to be the 8. That's not the 8. This isn't an 8 because I can't put a 9 there. But I could put 9 in any of those, allowing that to be an 8. That can't be an 8 because if that was an 8, that would be a 9. Similarly, that can't be a 2. So 2 is in one of those two. So 1 is in one of those two. If I put a 1 here, both of those would need to be 3. Right, and if this was a 7, then that would put a 9 here, and that would need to be a 7. So I can't put 7 in either of those. 7 is in one of those two. A 9 has to be in one of those two. Wait. Yeah. That can't be an 8, can it? If that's an 8, oh no. Yeah, it's either 8, 9 or 7, 9, 7, 9, 8, 9, yes. Wow, there's a weird relationship there. So this can't be a 3 because that can't be a 1 because if that's a 3, that's a 3. So neither of these can be 3. And there's this weird 2-3 relationship going on. Does that mean I could put something in here? This can't be 2, 3, or 7. So these are 2, 3, and 7. Because I can't put 2, 3, or 7 in here because of the... And I can't put 3, 7, or 8 in because of the way that these have worked out. This can't be 1, 2, 3. It could be 4, 5, 6, or 8 only. And this can't be 3, 7, or 8 because of 3, 7, and 8. So this is 3, 7, 8. That's very strange. Now I need to put a 1, 4, and 9 around this. If I put a 1 here, that's a 4. One here would make that a 4. 1 here would make that a 3. In here, I need to put a low digit. which is either 1 or 3. Anti-king. I don't think I could do anything with anti-king yet. Well, I know this can't be right. This could never have been 3, 7, or 8 because, right. Oh, I can't repeat digits around these. So where's 3 and 7 in this box? I can't put 2. No, hang on. Wait, I'm thinking of this wrong. But I can't repeat digits around here. If this was a 1, I couldn't put another 1 around here. I can't repeat digits because of the anti-king. So, 8 is in one of these 3 because of the 8's looking up. 2 is in one of these 3. But I need to have a low digit in those and a low digit in those. And I can't put 2 or 1 in either of them, but I need to put a low in one of those 3 and a low in one of those 3. I can't put a 1 or a 2 in any of those. I have to put a 3, and I can't put a 3 in either of those 2 because of the 3's lining up. If I put a 3 in either of those, I'd need to put a 9 in here, and I can't do it because I've got my 3's down here by this. This has to be the 3, which means this, raise a glass to freedom, that has to be the 9, and that has to be the 9. And what's the high digit I'm putting in that run? I've got to put a high digit in that run and a high digit in that run, but because 7 has to be in those, this has to be the 7, which means this has to be the 1, and this has to be the 1. Oh, this is clever. And now 1 is down here, which is putting 9 up here. And 9 is up here, which is putting 1 down here. But 1 is in one of those 2. So this has to be 3 or 4. Because around this quadruple, so that's never a 9. Around this quadruple, 1 has to be in one of those 2 cells because I can't put it here. Around this quadruple, 1 has to be in one of those 2 cells. So this has to be 6 or 7. The 9 is in one of those 2 cells. The 1 is in one of those 2 cells. So one of those 2 has to be a 6. And the 9 is in one of those 2 cells. So one of those 2 has to be a 4. What can this be? It can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It can't be 7, 8, 9. So yeah, that lines up with the 9 being here. This would be the same. It can't be 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. This is 4, 5, 6, which lines up with the 1 being in one of those. How do I get the anti-king working? So this 9 means that I can't put 9 in any of those cells. One in this box. Well, 1 is in one of those 2. Oh, so this is never a 1. Because if this was a 1, I could never put 1 around this quadruple. 1 is in one of these 2. So this is never a 6. And it's surely the same with 9. If this was a 9, I could never put 9 around this quadruple. That's not a 9. 9 is in one of those, so that's never a 4. Still. So this, it can be 2, it can't be 3, 4, 5, 6. And I don't. I'm trying to remember the king. So 9 is definitely in one of those. Which means one of these is... Oh! That's beautiful. If that was a 9, that would have to be a 1, and then I couldn't put 9 around it here. This has to be the 9, because if this was the 9, this would have to be a 1, and then I couldn't put 1 around this quadruple. And this has to be the 1 for exactly the same reason. That's so cool. Is that doing anything for me? 1 can't be here. That's still allowing 1 to be in either of those. I've still got to put a high digit in here, which is a 7 or an 8. No, that's going to be broken. No, it's not. Well, that can't be a 7. And that one can't be an 8, because that would put a 9 here, which would be... So either that's a 7 or that's an 8. So 9 is in one of those two. And up here, I assume it's the same for 1. 1 is in one of those, but it can't be here. So either that 1 is in one of those two. Huh. Two in any of those. We put 1 here, 1 here. That seems to be okay. So the middle digit in here is putting a not. So either that is a 4 or that is a 6. So this is 4 or 8 only, because I can't put 9 in any of those, or there. This is only 4 or 8, and this is only 6 or 7. This is very strange. So I could do the same here, surely, because this is indexing the 1, which has to be in one of those two positions. So this is either 3 or 4, and this has to be 2 or 6. Can I do anything with that? Well, this is a 6-7 pair now. So these... That's a 6-7 pair. And I've got a 3-4 pair as well. Where's 5? Oh, this one, of course, made this 5, and this 9 made this 5. So I know what these are. 3, 4, 6, 7. And these are the same, aren't they? 3, 4, 6, 7. If that's a 4, that could be a 4. So that could be a 6. But it does mean that these are 2, 6, 9. So 9, and they can't be, so 1 is here, here, or here. Well, this can't be a 6, because then I couldn't put 1 around this quadruple. So that's not a 6. And these are 1, 4, 8. And I can't put 9 here, because then I couldn't put 9 around here. So this isn't a 4. So 4 is in one of those two, which absolutely puts 9 in one of those two, which lines up. But this is a 1, 4, 8. Well, that can't be a 1, because then that would have to be a 9. If that's a 1, that would have to be a 9, and it can't be because that's a 3-4 pair. That's not the 1. This isn't the 1 because why have I taken 1 out of there? Because if this is a 1, why did I take 1 out of there? I did it for a reason. Why did I take 1 out of there? I got the 3, 4 and the 6, 7 somehow ages ago. Because of this quadruple? Yes. Because they're indexing 9s. So this can't be a 1 because that would put a 9 here, and then there's no 9 around here. That's not a 1. This can't be a 1 because that can't be a 9 because then if that's a 1, this can't be a 9 because if this was a... Sorry, if this is a 1, if this was a 9, this would be a 1 and it can't be. So this is the 1. And this can't be a 1, so that can't be a 9, and this is the 9. This is so strange. So now the 1 is here and here. So this is putting a 9 either there or there. This is correct. It just doesn't feel correct. I still need to do anti-9. Particularly on like these 4, 8, which means that this can't contain 4 or 8. Like it can't contain 4. Well, I've got 4s lining up all over the place. Right, 4 must be in one of those, but 4 must be in one of those. Meaning if I was to make that a 4, 4 would be down here, and both of those would have to be 8. So this is 3, this is 4, this 3 means this is the 1, and the 4 means this is the 1, which means this isn't the 1, this is the 1. Which means this is the 2, this is the 6, which means that's the 1. Can I do the same? Well, I just got the 2, 6, which means that's the 7, that's the 9, which means this isn't the 9, that's the 9, meaning that's the 8, that's the 4, that's the 9, this isn't the 9, that's the 9, so that's the 6, which lines up, which means this is the 7 to make that the 9, this is the 8. No, not the 8. That's not the 8. The 8 is there, but that's the 7. And I've got the same here. This is the 3. This is not the 2. This is the 6 to line it up with here. This is the 8 to line it up with that. This is actually the 4. And the digit I haven't placed, I need a middle digit. This is the 6 to line it up with that 9. This is so clever. There's no 8 in either of these. This is the 3, 7. That can't be 3, 7 or 8. That's the 8. There's no 4 or 6 here. This is a 2, 5 pair. The 4 is looking up, taking 4 out of there. 7 must be in here because this is a 3, 6, 7 triple and I can't put a 7 here. So this is 3, 6. The 7 must be in here. There's no 7 in here, which I could have got from that. Okay, but I didn't. What are these? 2, and I need a middle digit, which must be a 4. So, well, I know this is the 1. So that's the 2, that's the 4. That's just lining up. And I've done all the indexing. I should have 9 1s and 9 9s. I do. This is so clever. There's no 4 or 6 here. So this is a 5, 8 pair. There's no 3 here and there's no 7. That's the 2. Taking the 2 out of those, this is a 3, 7 pair. The 7 is looking across, making that the 3 and that the 7, which takes 7 out of there, making that the 7. I can do more down here with that, can't I? This is more resolvable. There's no 3 here. There's no 6 here. There's no 6 here. That's the 6. This is 3, 4, or 7. So it's 4 or 7, which is just lining up with that being the 3. Anti-king. I still haven't done much with anti-king. I really haven't done much with anti-king. I hope I haven't broken anti-king anywhere. So what's this triple? 4, 5, 8. Well, that's not a 4 or an 8. That's a 5, so I can take 5 out of those. The 5... don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a 5 in one of those two. 4 has to be in one of those two. If that was a 4, that's a 4. That seems okay. This is beautiful, by the way. 6 is in one of those two for this quadruple, so that's not a 6. Three is in one of these three. So 3 is in one of those. 5, I'm not sure. 6, I'm not sure, but 8 is in one of those two. Oh, 8. 8 in this box is in one of those two. So that's the 4 and that's the 8, which means this is the 5 because of the anti-king. That's the 8. There's no 8 here. So now this is 3, 5, 6. That's the 8. The 5 is looking across saying that's not the 5. This is a 3, 6 pair. That's the 4. There's no 4 there. There's a 5 in one of those two. But both of those digits see that cell. If that was a 3, neither of those could be a 3. It sees that one in the row and that one by anti-king. If that was a 6, the same would be true. That's the 5 and there's no 5 there. The 3, 7 is looking up, making that the 6, which makes that the 3, which makes that the 6, which makes that the 3. The 3 looks down, making that the 6. These 2 and 3. The 3 is looking across, making that the 7 and that the 3. It makes that the 2 and that the 3. The 2 by anti-king makes that the 5 and that the 2. This is so good. These two digits, 5, 6. And the 6 makes that the 5 and that the 6. So this isn't the 5. This is 4 or 7. These are 2, 5, 8. There's no 2 there. There's no 8 there. That's just a 2. So that's a 5. That's an 8. And that's because there was only a single digit I hadn't placed in that column. So what haven't I placed? Let's do this column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 and 7. So the 2 makes that the 7 and that the 2. So these are 4 and 5. The 5 makes that the 4 and that the 5. That 4 sees both of those cells. So that's the 4, meaning that's the 7 and that's the 4. And then I can just use that 7 to make that the 3 and that the 7. And that is the correct solution to the puzzle. That was really cool. It took me a while to figure out what was going on with the way these indexing things were overlapping with these quadruple constraints. Maybe I could have used the anti-king a little bit more earlier on. I hadn't forgotten about it. I just couldn't see how to use it. But I loved the way these work, particularly these cells in the corner. The 3 and the 7. Those were absolutely beautiful. And not just because I got confetti out of that. That was really, really good. Thank you, Leah Addams, for the puzzle. Really nice stuff. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you're enjoying the content I'm putting out. I'm recording while I'm feeling capable at the moment, and we will see how long I can keep that one up. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and as always, good luck with your solving.